Welcome to Hull and Estate and Succession Planning, a series of podcasts hosted by Ian Hull and Suzana popovic-montag. The podcast you are listening to will provide information and insights into estate planning in Canada. From the offices of Hull in Toronto, here are Ian and Suzana.
Hi, and welcome to Hull and Estate and Succession Planning. You're listening to episode 162 of our podcast on Tuesday, April 28th, 2009.
Hi, Suzana.
Hello there, Ian. How are you today?
Just great, thanks.
That's good.
Okay, well, our last podcast we were singing the praises of an upcoming conference by the Ontario Bar Association on Friday, June 12th in Kingston, Ontario, being about elder law and elder law issues. And we wanted to we kind of ran out of time in our last one, and I think it's worthwhile just picking up on the last couple of points on that. Again, we think it's a great program. It's going to touch both theory and practice, and it's a cross-section of disciplines. So it's one of those conferences that are really, they're wonderful and a great event to be at if you can be there. It's, you know, from my perspective anyway, you know, Mary Alice Thompson is a leader down in that community, and then Professor David Friedman is an award-winning professor down in that community in the area of elder law and estates. Let's just touch on, we talked about assessing the assessor, and that's an interesting topic they're going to be touching on. Another topic that they're going to be touching on is the question of family law and elder law. Really, I mean, I guess what interests me on that topic, and I'm sure this will get dealt with at the seminar, because the leading practitioner in the area of family law, or our leader, is Phil Epstein, who's going to be speaking at it. And the issue there where we struggle is this. In a situation where you have a married couple, and one of the two of them becomes incapable, the family law issues actually become very defined at that time in some situations. And I wanted to just sort of explore that a little bit. And the whole question of separation or the like, and what issues play around it. So let's spend a few minutes today just talking about that. So if I'm in that situation where I have an advanced years couple who one of them has become incapable, the remaining capable individual may or may not have to face these family law issues. And where they have to face it is, the question becomes, do you need to separate and or divorce your spouse to get at sufficient assets for you to live the rest of your life? Because it may be in certain situations that, especially in second family situations, that you've got split assets. It works fine when you're both capable because you share the expenses, but now you can no longer do that because of maybe your spouse has moved into a home and her expenses are allocated there. You're left with this house that you have to maintain, and it worked fine in a shared environment, but it doesn't work fine now. And I'm sure Phil Epstein will touch on these issues, but it is one of those striking issues that really shocks the capable spouse, because you raise issues that they're perfectly happy couple, they're in love in every sense, and maybe the one who's is incapable has not got the same ability to understand that, but you're then putting to a capable elderly adult the proposition that economically it makes sense for you to divorce your wife while she's alive.
It's remarkable. Those issues that arise in these scenarios are really interesting, certainly from a legal perspective, and I imagine that you're particularly so when you're in, as you say, a second or further marriage situation, because many times we'll see that children of an incapable person will become their guardians or their attorneys. And then the question is, how, if at all, would they ever provide for a step-parent in those situations? So it raises a lot of issues, and I think that Phil's going to do a fantastic job flagging these for people. Well,
and that's so true, and really that is the scenario, isn't it? You get in a situation where your mother becomes incapable, you're in a second marriage situation, and the first marriage kids take over as power of attorney. It's quite a natural transition, and they turn to the step-parent and say, I never really liked you, and if you want any money from the fact that mom holds all the assets, good luck. That is not an impossible scenario, because if the capable surviving, so to speak, spouse did indeed put his or her assets into the incapable's hands, the fight is on. And that's where you come to these kinds of questions that are questions that nobody would be considering when they're capable.
So true.
And I guess, I mean, one of the lessons is that when, especially in a second marriage situation, it's worthwhile talking to your advisor and saying, okay, what if that scenario happens? It's not impossible. It's statistically possible that one becomes capable and then one becomes incapable. How's this going to flow out? And what's going to happen in terms of the day-to-day care of both the incapable parent and the step parent? So worthwhile exploring. The other issue that I thought was a fascinating topic that they're going to be dealing with is questions of criminal law elements of the elder law, and it really, that comes down to the whole issue of elder abuse and what issues, I mean, what sanctions are available beyond the civil courts, and that is the criminal sanctions.
And we're hearing more about this as well, too, because of the advancements in technology and the media, and social media in particular, more so than we ever did before. So a lot of attention is being put on this issue, and particularly given the increase in the aging population.
And we saw, I think 2 years ago when we went to the Canadian Conference on Elder Law, they had a whole division of 2 or 3 police officers there speaking and talking about the special units that are being set up all over the country to specifically deal with elder abuse and to use the criminal code sanctions, which are much stronger, much more powerful, and much more effective to stop someone who is draining all of the money from an elderly person or a rogue individual who has intruded into the lives of that person. The police have the power to do that from a statutory standpoint. All right, well, as we say, we think it's going to be a great conference, and one of us may be heading down to it if we can get ourselves organized, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a terrific conference for those who get there. The last thing we wanted to cover today's podcast was mix it up a bit. We've talked about some legal substantive issues, and we also, as zealots about the social media world, we wanted to spend a few minutes on for those who know, that's fine, but maybe a little refresher for those who don't know. What other blogs are available? We at Hull & Hull do a daily blog, and we're proud of that daily blog, but it is on estate-related issues, and it may be that some people want to get more expanded and look into other issues. And so we just remind everyone that there's a great site to start with, and that's lawblogs.ca.
And frankly, it's amazing how many law blogs there actually are. I know when I looked at that recently and compared the list to even last year, how it's exploded in terms of the number of people who are actively and continuously blogging. It really is quite amazing. No, it's fascinating, and it's really, if you go through it, I guess it's hard to pick favorites, and there are literally pages of choices on this. And our lawyer at our office, Sharon Davis, who's our knowledge management lawyer, and knowledge management's an issue we're going to be talking about at our next podcast. Our lawyer at our office she brought this list to our attention, but I guess we can't do justice to Canadian law blogs without talking about the hero of law blogs, and that's Rob Heinemann. And we'll have Rob's law blog link on the show notes, but he practices in technology and business law, but he is the true leader in this area. We're fortunate enough to work with his sister, Sarah Fitzpatrick, and she is, of course, a big fan of her brother, but has always been a real leader in this area too, and been a big help around here to help us work through the blog technology. All right, well, I think that covers up our topics today. We encourage you to look at the link for the Elder Law Conference. We encourage you to look at the link for the lawblogs.ca, and we look forward to our next podcast. Thanks very much, Suzana. Thanks to you, Ian.
You have been listening to Hull & Estates and Succession Planning by Ian Hall and Suzana Popovic-Montag. The podcast that you've been listening to has been provided as an information service. It is a summary of current issues in estates and estate planning. It is not legal advice, and you are reminded to always speak with a legal professional regarding your specific circumstance. To listen to other Hull & Hull podcasts or leave any questions or comments, please visit our website at hullestatemediation.com.